Yo, it's the Blog Mama coming to y'all like I know how, man. Listen up, man. Today, I'm talking about my Bulls and, one of the players that I like him for our team, but, he's not a guy that is going to help us get over the top with him being a premier guy. But first, on to my Cowboys, man. My Cowboys, they're upsetting me. They got rid of Wade Phillips, which I'm down with that. But the fact of the matter is that with Jason Garrett at the helm now, do we really think as Cowboys fans that they're going to all of a sudden play so much better and just going to start looking like a team that we haven't looked this whole year? All of a sudden, we're going to look like the team that beat the Texans or the team that only lost by 4 points until we started getting punished. So with Jason Garrett at the helm, I just don't believe that because, once again, like I said in my last Cowboys rant, Jason Garrett doesn't play for the Cowboys. He coaches. He plays. He coaches. He does not play. So, unless, our offense all of a sudden with John Kitna at the helm, good gosh, is going to start looking like Romo, then we have a chance. And unless our defense gets injected with some adrenaline that's going to make them want to play, we're going to be the same team. The Giants are rolling. I expect us to get punched by the Giants, punched dead in the mouth. Because if we could play, just because Wade Phillips is going, or I think Jerry Jones needs to bench some starters, especially our D-backs. I have a major problem with our D-backs, but whatever. I'm talking about the Bulls today. That Cowboys thing, I can go on forever. But Chicago Bulls. That's my team. I think we're a good team. I just think we need a couple more pieces that can make us, an even better team, maybe even a great team in the Eastern Conference. The one player that I have a problem with that, let me get this out there now, he's good for the Chicago Bulls. Let me get that out there. He's good for the Chicago Bulls, but he's one of the premier guys, and that guy is Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah, I'm blogging about this today because one of the guys that I work with, he's a huge Joakim Noah fan, and I'm not a huge Joakim Noah fan, even though he's a Bull. When you think about the Chicago Bulls right now, you think of two people. You think of Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. Fact of the matter is this, man. Joakim Noah is not. He's not the guy that is going to get us to the top. He's not. That I need that to be understood. He's a good player for the Bulls. He's a player that I would say the Bulls need, but every NBA team would love to have a player like Joakim Noah. That's why I'm not saying I don't like him for the team. What I am saying is I don't like that he's the number 2 guy. That's what I don't like. Joakim Noah is not a number 2 guy. He's not. You're not. The Bulls are not going to win with Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. It just won't happen. It won't happen. Now, I know we have Carlos Boozer, and I'm still waiting to see how that experiment works out. Maybe Joakim Noah can be that third guy. Now, Joakim Noah would be the best third guy, literally in the league. And I know that's over the Miami's big 3. That's over Boston's big 3. That's over whatever they have out in Orlando. That's over what they have out in Atlanta. Even more so in LA. Now that might be crazy to say, but the reason I'm saying that is because Joakim Noah, how he plays the game of basketball, he never has an off night. He never has an off night. You think about the Lakers with Pau Gasol, Kobe, and maybe, you could say Ron Artest, Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum. Those guys have off nights because they don't do the things necessarily that Joakim does. He gets, offensive rebounds. He gets defensive rebounds, steals, blocks. He frustrates the other team's players. He gets in their heads. He takes them out the game. So there's some stuff that he does that isn't even accounted for on the stat sheet. So that's why I like him for the Bulls. But he can do that on any NBA team. My thing is, if Joakim Noah was to have another big presence with him, Carlos Boozer necessarily, he's not a huge presence. He's an offensive low post scorer, and that's what the Chicago Bulls need because Joakim Noah is not an offensive scorer. We don't look for him to get 20. He's not that kind of player, and that's what is hurting the Chicago Bulls. Joakim Noah will be a freak of nature alongside of like a Chris Bosh. He'll be a freak alongside Dwight, Pau Gasol. He will be. I mean, this guy. He will be amazing with those other guys, but because he is the guy in Chicago. We're only going to go so far. He has a cap on his ability being the premier guy. But if he's the backup, if he's like the Robin to someone's Batman, his abilities with that will be unbelievable. Like they're unlimited. So what me and this guy were doing at work, we were doing, like I'm not a fan of Joakim, so there's a lot of not a lot, but there's some players that I was thinking that I would take over him, and even me and my uncles and my dad and my brothers and stuff like that, we talk about it a lot. But a guy that I would take over him that I don't think is crazy for me to say is Big Baby, Glenn Davis. I would take him over Joakim Noah. Now, why would I say, Glenn Davis, and he doesn't even start? Because in my eyes, Joakim Noah, yes, he's a great player. No, I'm sorry, he's not a great player. Yes, he's a good player, but I think Glenn Davis is a good player too.
Good top, man. Good top.
Glenn Davis steps up every playoffs. He steps up every big shot. If Rondo's penetrating, let's just say this, if a point guard is penetrating and they see Glenn Davis out there, they'll pitch him the ball because they'll know he'll shoot it. And he'll probably make it. As history has shown us, he makes that shot. If a point guard is penetrating and they see Joakim Noah out on the wing, there's a 90% chance they're not going to pass that man the ball because he's not going to make that shot. And if he does, he'll make it 1 out of 50. That's what I believe. So, Glenn Davis, give me Glenn Davis. He's a great backup, and he's a great sidekick guy. And that's what I mean for Joakim. If Joakim was in that same role, I would label him as great. I would label him as a great sidekick guy. Earlier I said Glenn Davis. I said Joakim Noah is a good player. Glenn Davis is a good player. To me, they're the same. Even though Joakim averages double-doubles and all that stuff, but what makes Glenn Davis great is because his role is for him. He plays into his role very perfectly. He's not on that team to be the man like Joakim Noah is. That's why he's only, to me, labeled as good. He's in a great role. When you're the top 2 players on your team, you have to be great, or if not, your team is just going to be either mediocre or below the Bulls. But Glenn Davis is great because his role isn't to be that. He plays his role great as a guy to come off the bench, make big shots, give energy, stuff like that. It's almost the same thing Joakim Noah does, just he doesn't get as many minutes as Joakim. Maybe that could be a reason why he doesn't average a double-double, But it's like, man, could you imagine Joakim Noah alongside with KG or something like that, or backing up KG? Oh my gosh, he would, maybe, even better than Glenn Davis in that spot. I don't know, but another thing is another guy I was thinking about. Who would I take over Joakim? Nene from the Nuggets. Now Nene, he's a monster. He's a monster to me. Another thing, he doesn't average a double-double like Joakim. That's what Joakim does. He's going to get that double-double, man. And that's why I like him for our team. But I don't need him to be a top premier player on the team. Nene Hilario is not the 1 or 2 guy on the Denver Nuggets. That's why the Nuggets are successful. 2 years ago they played the Lakers. I think they were the 2 seed. Last year they lost in the first round, but it's like, man, that's why the Nuggets are a successful team, because he's not the premier guy. Andrew Bynum. I would take Andrew Bynum over Joakim. Even though Andrew Bynum stays hurt, I would take Andrew Bynum over Joakim Noah. No, they don't average the double-doubles. No, they don't. But he just, man, Andrew Bynum he's a better player. He's more skilled. And I guess that's where I'm coming down. My point is basically that being a Bulls fan, the Bulls picked Joakim Noah, I want to say, anywhere from, I think he was the 9th pick for us. And wow, even that I think about that now, the Bulls picked him at 9. And this man, and I'm just being real, his skill level is probably a tad bit over Anderson Varejao. Just a tad bit more over him. And the Bulls picked him at 9. Anderson Varejao, I don't know this off the top of my head, but was that man even drafted? And the Bulls picked a guy whose skill worth is, if not the exact same, 1 or 2 notches better. And the Bulls picked him at 9. He was the 9th overall pick. So I'm saying Joakim Noah could have been picked later. But because it's almost unfair to Joakim Noah, really. He was picked 9th, a top 10 pick, and he on to the Bulls, where he's got to be the man. And that's just not Joakim Noah. Why do you think he was so successful at college? He didn't have to be the man, because there was a gang of talent around him. They had everyone. But who was the, you would say the leader? You would say Joakim, because even though he wasn't probably putting up the most points and stuff like that, he's a vocal leader, he's emotional, all that other stuff, the intangibles he has. And I'm not knocking that. But that's the type of team he needs to be on to maximize his success. I'm saying this, and I'll leave it alone. Joakim Noah will never be an all-star. He'll never be one. I don't care what his numbers are, because he averages good numbers. Joakim Noah will never be an NBA all-star. That's just fact. We need a player like Carlos Boozer who, you can see him being an all-star. If he has, I don't know, but you can see him being an all-star. Joakim Noah, he's not going to be an all-star. He'll never be one. But neither will Big Baby. Neither will Glenn Davis. Neither will Nene. Neither will Andrew Bynum. Andrew Bynum, but I could see him being one, but neither because he won't ever be one because